Go.
You know, I sit here right now very, very hurt. Because I thought Chris Broussard was a friend of mine. And I look at an Ian Begley who does a phenomenal job for us with ESPN. Obviously, I'm a fan of his work. I thought all these guys that covered the Knicks, I was cool with them. But clearly they don't like me. Clearly there's something personal somebody's got against me, because they knew good and damn well that putting this information out like that was going to force us to talk about it, which was going to give me a reason to talk about the New York Knicks with their sorry, pathetic self. Let me tell you something, okay? I like David Blatt. I actually think that he kind of got a raw deal, and I know for a fact some of the coaches feel that he got a raw deal. Tyronn Lue could have turned down the opportunity, but at the same time, he and everybody else kind of felt bad about the decision that David Griffin and Dan Gilbert felt they had to make. But at the same time, David Blatt, as Skip pointed out, really wasn't doing that much. It was really LeBron, and so when you look at it from that perspective, he's unproven. I'm not saying that David Blatt can't coach or that he wouldn't be a good coach. I'm saying we don't know. And because we don't know, you can't take a chance in New York City with a team that wants to get us moribund, getting on our damn nerves. January 20th, the New York Knicks on a Wednesday night beat the Utah Jazz in overtime. They were 22-22. I actually came on national airwaves and praised Phil Jackson. Talk about somebody that got hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok. The New York Knicks proceeded to lose 16 of the next 19 games and have gone 10-25 over the last 35 games. Yes, they improved by 15 games already from last year, but they stink. And they deflated the city yet again. And Phil Jackson's doing his interviews, you know, from LA, talking about how he wants to be in New York City, even though he's never around. When you got Steve Mills, who, by the way, has been friends with David Blatt for years. They've known each other. They go back a long ways. So him playing basketball with David Blatt, I mean, they're friends. Steve Mills was one of the guys that raved about David Blatt getting the opportunity in Cleveland when he first arrived, and none of us knew anything about him because Steve Smith knows him well, and they go back years. So it's entirely plausible that they were just playing basketball, or it's entirely plausible that they're considering David Blatt. Either way you slice it, we need a name. No disrespect to David Blatt, no disrespect to Mr. 9-18 this year, Kurt Rambis, who was 32-132 as a head coach before he went 9-18 thus far. We need a name. We need it. If you're going to get rid of Mike Woodson, who, by the way, did a damn good job, considering the circumstances, if you're going to get rid of him, and you're not going to bring in a Tom Thibodeau, and you're not going to bring in a Mark Jackson, you got to get somebody. And it needs to be a hell of a lot better than David Blatt. No disrespect. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve an opportunity, but not in the Mecca. We need a name, because the name that we have, Phil Jackson, doesn't want to show up on the bench, albeit for health reasons, no disrespect. But the bottom line is, the man needs to hire a coach who is experienced in coaching in the NBA. That's what we need.
Yep.
That's not what we have. And Carmelo Anthony, for all everybody wants to say about him, he deserves better than this. This is why he and other people feel hoodwinked by Phil, because of nonsense like this. So I'm going to say for now.
That's
but
all.
Only for now.
Oh, well, I
Only
thought
for
you were
now.
just getting started, you know?
Only for now.
Yeah, that's
Only for
platitude.
now. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. I'm watching.
By the
But let
way,
it go for now.
I think you know this. Either Phil Jackson needs to coach or he needs to go home to Los Angeles. It's enough is enough. He doesn't need another
Exactly.
puppet coach on the bench. But now back to Ian Begley and my dear friend Chris Broussard. Sometimes I think that these guys conspire to float, you know, almost bogus, not that they're bogus, but long shot stories about long shot candidates just to, quote you, to get under your or on your last damn nerve, as you say. I think these stories are intended
Chris
just
Broussard
to
is
set
capable
you
of
off.
that. Chris
You know,
Broussard is
just
capable of
to
that.
get your goal,
You
just
know?
to get you going
Betrayal,
here.
Chris.
Yeah.
Betrayal.
Yeah, because, look, LeBron did coach that team last year. Blatt did some good things, and on Blatt's watch, somehow they were up 2-1 in the NBA Finals over the Golden State Warriors, Game 4 at their house. But to me, the prospect of David Blatt in New York City is unthinkable because he was out to sea last year. He seemed in over his head, especially in interviews when controversies reared their ugly heads on LeBron's team, as they often do. So can you imagine David Blatt trying to deal with the New York media? I'm sorry, I don't think it would work. David Blatt has a great international reputation. You know, the coach sits next to Coach Popovich, Ettore Messina, I'm not sure how you say his name. He's going to be a head coach in the NBA because he is an international legend, but nobody knows him here. And if Phil hired him in New York, you would have an issue with him because he's not a name. You'd say, what are we doing? But he might be a great coach for all I know. It's just hard to translate into this league and command the respect of these players, even if you have an international cachet that you bring.
Please understand why I'm demanding a name. I mean no disrespect to Blatt or the coach on the Spurs bench or anybody else. I'm not questioning their basketball acumen. What I am saying is you need a name because we need to know that Phil ain't coaching from the rafters or from LA. We need to see a coach on the bench that we believe has the cachet to coach.
Yep.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get that from a Black or somebody like that that's brought in to work under Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. That's the problem. That's why I'm saying you need a name. You need somebody that has the cachet to say in New York's face, Phil, I understand you the boss, but could you sit up there, please?
Yeah, I agree.
You hired me to coach. Let me coach.
And thank
Tom
you.
Thibodeau
Yeah,
and
I
Mark
agree.
Jackson can do that.
They can. And thank you for
There's
making the
nobody,
point.
David Blatt can't do that.
Mike Woodson won, was it 55 games his last year?
54 games. 54
Wow.
games and a trip to the Eastern Conference semifinals.
Yeah.
And then Skip, not only that, but the next year with all those injuries and all that dysfunctionality taking place, with him being lamed up because they hired Phil Jackson before the season ended, with Tyson Chandler and others giving Phil a standing ovation while he was sitting in the stands and stuff. Mike Woodson got that team to 37 wins that season, considering all that acrimony. Then went to Phil Jackson, Skip, and told Phil, I'll coach the triangle for you. Show me what you want to do, and I'll coach it. And Phil decided to bring in Derek Fisher instead.
Yeah, because he wasn't a Phil guy.
All right, so David Blatt, not the right fit for the New York Knicks. You know we'll never bamboozle you, Stephen A., or lead you astray. Our Twitter fan, we asked